All right, welcome to another special. This is another Black History Month featured guest of mine. This is Freddie Taylor. Hi, Freddie.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you.
You as
So,
well. You as well. I appreciate you having me.
yes, yeah. So, of course, COVID. So, we actually couldn't see each other even if we wanted to. And I'm no longer in the Chicago area. But just to share with the folks, so Fred and I actually went to school together. He was there football scholarship. I was there on track scholarship. We were both in the College of Business. We were both studying marketing. So that's 20 years ago now. You know, it's been a little while, but it's just been great to stay in touch and just see how Freddie's been, just how his business has been developing over the years. So, as you know, that this whole feature, the folks that I've been sharing with you this week are all just independent thinkers, innovators, people just doing things their own way in a creative way. And so I thought Freddie was the ultimate example for Black History Month and Black excellence in um, what he's basically achieved since we left school. So, Freddie, I'm gonna have you just kind of start. I'm gonna say from the beginning, right? So, SIU days started. Graduated, and then what did you do from there? What did you do after you graduated?
Yeah, well, all right, again, thanks for having me. I appreciate you, bringing me on. But once I graduated, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like I've been on this pathway for 20 some years, right? But I at SIU, I was actually like, I thought I would go get a job first, right? Get a job like you're supposed to do, then build up your career, and then move into entrepreneurship. But I was in a headhunting program. I haven't shared this often. This is funny to me. I was in a headhunting program from Microsoft. They were interested in, they were recruiting on the campus and whatnot. I was going through that program. It was this Black woman, and she was like, Freddie, this is your time. You want to come to Microsoft. And then, who doesn't idolize Bill Gates if you're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur? I'm like, oh, wow. I go out here, learn something from the organization, and bring it back to mine. And we're going through this program, and I remember about the second week, maybe second week or so in, and she mentioned, yeah, because, at Microsoft, you're going to start off with, 60, 80-hour work weeks, more like 80, right? Like you can just really wrap your mind around that. And everyone in the class was like, yeah, well, just got to pay your dues. And I remember sitting there thinking like 80 hours a week, like that's insane. I was like, nah, this ain't going to be for me. And like I finished that day and I didn't show up no more. I was like, that's it. That's not going to work. That kind of thrusted me on my path, I guess. It sped up my situation a little bit. Yeah, I haven't got the chance to share that story. Yeah. Oh man, I haven't gotten to share that story. I don't think I've ever shared that story, but that was just definitely one of my prime motivators. Like, oh, I just can't be out here working for people. So I started out after school. I started out in the appraisal business. So I went back to school, got became an appraiser. You have to work for someone for, contract appraiser for 2 years. I did that, the apprenticeship. You got to go through the apprenticeship period. And then I opened up my first official business, right, which was a real estate appraisal firm. So we grew from that. I transitioned into, while I was growing that business, I was tinkering with other things. I learned how to web design because out of necessity, I needed a website. So I went to the library, got a book, taught myself how to build websites. I built my own site. It was pretty cool. I started learning little bits and pieces about the internet. I'm into marketing and promotion, so eventually I started a magazine centered around real estate investing. You both came into our group, right? We had a real estate investment group that we were growing. I was emceeing and learning a lot in that process, being a connector. Malcolm Gladwell's book, right, The Tipping Point, being a connector, bringing people together. Really good experiences. I just learned a ton up into that. And then, the stock market, the crash of 08, right? 06, 08. Mm-hmm. My appraisal business got caught up into all of that. You can just stop me at any time. I'll just
No, keep going. I want to hear the whole story. Keep going.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I haven't told this much detail. But so 2008, it's kind of crazy. And the regulation came into the marketplace like heavy, right? And it was almost like they were blaming the appraisers. Oh, appraisers, they were just over inflating stuff. Like, we really need to regulate this relationship between appraisals and the bank. which was not a bad idea. But being in the middle of that, they brought in these third party, what do they call it? It's been a while. I forget the language. But anyway, they brought in these third party intermediaries to sit between the banks and the appraisers so they couldn't no longer form these relationships and collude in the marketplace, was the thought. In practice, how it happened is it cut our rates in half because the third party intermediaries took 50% of the appraisals. They were getting all the work from the banks, and then they were pivoting, selling, giving us the scraps, right? But you still holding all the liability, you still holding all the blame, you got to do the work. And I was like, no, this ain't right. And I felt just like this 80-hour work week. I was like, oh, I'm far too talented. I can just pick up something else. And I just decided, like, hey, I told the wife, like, I'm done with that business. In retrospect, this is always good. We don't get to talk about the analyzation period. But when I look back at it, I should have just opened up one of those third-party intermediaries. I should have just became appraisal management firm. I should have just went into appraisal management. So yeah. If I keep down the story, right? So remember, I was tinkering around on the web a couple of years earlier, learning how to web design and stuff like that. So I parlayed that. Got online. I got really introduced to internet marketing and all of that, building sites. I used to build up a little audience and then sell the site. So I was flipping websites. Website flipping was the thing back then. Still happens. I just was online hustling, right? Using my ingenuity and my background, just trying to survive at that point. But then I ended up building a web design company because that was just a natural progression. You got some contacts, so like might as well build that up. I still actually own that business, and I just want to get rid of the clients. I don't want to do the work anymore. Like we transitioned, but they like love the service. You know, we don't take on no more clients or none of that. But but I could just get rid of them. They're like, well, where am I going? I'm like, oh. Still got a couple of clients hanging on from that business.
Nice.
So then I got on Facebook in 2009 for the first time as well. And I built my page out, Urban Intellectuals, on there and really started to grow our audience. I figured out, like I was studying internet marketing at the time. And then over the years, I was really growing the audience, figuring out different ways to monetize the situation, right? You gain the eyeballs and then figure out how to monetize that.
Okay,
so I went through some.
So we'll pause there for a second, though. So you have to explain, what is Urban Intellectuals? What is it? Why did you start it? How did that all come about?
Okay. Well, Urban Intellectuals, we make it fun and easy to learn Black history. And we create a series of historical education products that writes the Black community back into the pages of world history while inspiring people to change the world. That's really like our mantra. We believe that education has the power to change everything. So why not educate one another about all of our histories and not just some? And I think like that'll fill part of the gap in the reasons why we don't know, like, and trust each other. We don't respect everyone's culture. Particularly the Black community has been written out of this conversation for our contributions to humanity. So we wanted to right those wrongs, but I got there because my children, right? I got to see the educational system through the eyes of a parent for the second time. And, you know, it just really did something to me. And I kept saying, somebody should just, and one day we became somebody and started filling the gap.
That's excellent. So that's what I wanted to, let's touch on a little bit here. So I feel like, obviously, you know, business 101, right? Find a problem, solve, you know, create a solution. Yes. And I think that, you know, there's so often, you know, we are in a school system. We all have, you know, if you're in the US or Canada, you're all we go through this public school system, and we are graded on what we learn and what we memorize, you know, and what we, you know, carry on to the next grade.
Yeah.
And so much of that, especially when it comes to history, is at the mercy of the textbooks that the school system has purchased.
Yeah.
School textbooks are usually written from the perception, from the viewpoint of one person, and that has typically been white men, right?
Yeah.
So it's not to say that the history isn't true. It's their perspective, but usually it's very much incomplete. Yeah. And so sometimes, you know, things happen, and, you know, maybe we as Black people have a different viewpoint or experience or understanding of it than, you know, maybe our white counterpoints or our white counterparts. And part of that is because a real ignorance, or what I just call a lack of knowledge, right? A real lack of understanding of the real history of what's happened and how things have gotten to where they are today. So when we look back at, say, last summer with the whole George Floyd incident, for me, I'll ask you your thoughts on that after, but for me, um, it meant a lot to see the diversity of the people protesting, because it meant that finally there were people who who didn't look like us, but we're finally starting to realize, wow, this is more than what we've been taught. you know why does this continue to happen? What can
Yeah.
this is what I can do today to try to into to have a stand about it. But I think ultimately people understand that they've not been told the truth, right? So I think that's at the heart of what happened last year. And so why I love what you've created with Urban Intellectuals, because although it's probably primarily, Black people, the Black diaspora, who've been, needing and wanting and buying this material, because we know that our story has never, has not been told widely or shared widely. I'm curious to know if you've started to see, or if you've even tracked these type of metrics, if your client base has started to diversify since last summer.
That's a good question, and I'll say honestly, our client base was kind of diverse from the jump.
Okay.
It's I guess it's just been like a underserved market out there, but you really have a nice group of diverse thinkers, right, in the world that are looking to supplement the education for their children, right, and they understand the importance of knowing all of our history and our culture. So there's always been a pretty strong subset of particularly white women purchasing the products, and because what we find is it's either they're married to a Black husband, African American husband, or they got or their daughter is, but the male isn't interested in the history and the culture, and so it's the mom or the grandma that is saying, "No, this is too important. These babies got to know their history. They got to know everything," and they're going out of their way to seek the information to make sure that they have it. So we love those parents, by the way. That's amazing. And then also there are just like I don't know what the phrase is, but all white families that are just buying this information for their children because, again, they want them to have a diverse understanding of the world and what really happened and everybody's contribution to humanity. That's what the contributions to humanity is the thing. Like my man, John Henry Clark, always talking about the African or Black people have been written out the respectable commentary of history. And this is really what's dangerous. Because when you're growing up and you're never seeing any contributions of people that look like us doing anything of significance, it really undermines the relationships. So I think a lot of the children, I think children just naturally love everyone, right? So they will embrace this. But as they grow, they know more and more about someone's history and background. They just appreciate it. And I don't mean to go into a diatribe about this, but the reason Black people, like when you start talking to them and ask them where do they want to go when they want to travel internationally, where do you want to go? What do you want to see? They're always talking about Paris. They're talking about London. They're talking about Italy, going to France and Rome, and all of these different places, which are wonderful places to go. And yeah, you should go. But the reason that they don't select Africa or any places where we are primarily the main cultural piece is because they don't have any understanding of it, their history and their culture. So they don't have any appreciation for it. So they don't want to go see it. But they appreciate, Italian architecture or food, and so it's just it creates an affinity for one another.
Right. And if you've never seen if you don't regularly see positive images about Africa, why would you have a desire to go there?
Why would you have a desire?
It's not even about not hearing anything. It's what they do see tends to be negative, poverty, crime.
Yes.
But
all the stereotypical stuff that they tell you about African Americans, right? It's kind of the same thing. So it's like clearly the system's lens is slanted in a particular way. And I have no issue with it. I have no issue with the intent of making sure that their children grow up with the self-confidence and esteem that they really want, but it's at the detriment of our children. And I just, we can't stand by and allow that.
Right. And I always try to say, like, it shouldn't be an either or, right? You should be very proud of your European heritage or wherever you're from.
Absolutely.
As we are very proud of our African heritage. But let's all learn each other's heritage and cultures so that we can respect it it's not one is better than the other, right?
Right.
It is what it is. It's our history. So,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
understand that we've been denied our history for so long. So we are eagerly trying to absorb and learn as much of it as we can. And so again, why I love what you created with Urban Intellectuals.
And you're speaking to something powerful, right? The need, right? Finding a need as a business owner and filling it. Well, there's a serious need in the Black community to have a strong self-esteem and confidence. And the core of that is how you understand and relate to your history and your culture. And so this piece has been missing out of so many of us. And it's just no wonder why we have like an alien culture inside of us, because we don't really know who we are. We really need to get back and understand that. And more than that, just really appreciate the contributions to humanity that your people have made, because it sets the bar of aspirations for your children. Once they see people throughout history that look like them, that have contributed to humanity, they say, well, that means I can do it. That means I can do, right? So it's like, if representation matters, if Barack Obama being the first Black president and Kamala Harris being the first woman president, if those things matter, if putting Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill actually matters because representation matters, then you can't tell me that representation and education don't matter. That should be the most important place. That should be the foundation. Don't give me the picture on some money, and we're not represented in the history and what's being fed into the minds of the children. Like, so that's why I don't get into that argument, because I'm like, oh, y'all not serious. Because if you were serious, the studies already show this. The information is already out there. The dissertations have been written on all of this, and they know it. So that's how I know when somebody's serious about making a change, they're gonna change the information in the education.
Yeah, there's nothing more important than representation, honestly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's go back, to the business of urban.
You get me fired up.
I know, but I feel like it's important to have these discussions. I like to share this with my audience because I don't know that people are having these discussions, and I want them to know that, there's a reason that so much, made the news cycle last year, and I hope it continues, right? I do feel like it was a pivotal time, and I do feel like there's a lot of people they have questions in their mind and they're trying to understand it. So I hope that, even a discussion like this will help clarify some things. So, all right. So Urban Intellectuals, the business side. So you've been doing this since 2009. So this is now 2021. So this is what, 10, 11 years now. So how many?
It's a little story to that.
Okay.
Right? So I got on Facebook in 2009.
Okay.
I actually had the idea back in like 2001, 2002. But it's morphed over the years. And in 2009 doesn't represent what we really are today.
Okay.
I didn't go full time in this business until 2014. That's when I closed my web design company and stopped taking clients. 2015, we really started to rise. I brought on like my COO. 2017 is when I created the first deck of flashcards. So I had the idea. I just sat on it, right? Like, oh man, I wish I was 10, 11 years into this thing.
Yeah. Okay, well, so tell us about the cards. You describe what the flashcards are.
Yeah. Okay. So I got some somewhere around here. I thought they were open. So these are our Black History flashcards, right? So there's 52 cards in each series, and there's picture information on the front, bullet pointed information on the back, giving a little insight about whomever the card is about.
Okay.
And there are 5 series that we have inside here. So our first series that's our general history. So it's men, women, and historical events. So mostly African-American related. The second edition is all Black women. So it's 52 cards on all Black women from all over the world. The third one is a STEAM series, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. 4 is before 1492. So it starts about 35,000 years ago. It comes up to 1492. And then volume 5 is an Afro-Latin and Afro-Caribbean series. So we're just showing a global perspective of the African diaspora through flashcards, which are a great learning tool. I learned through college, right? That was the connection, right? I brought it all the way back.
I love that. Yeah, I actually didn't realize you had so many series.
Oh, yes. Oh, and there's more, right? So that's just the flashcards. We got a deck of playing cards that has history and culture infused into it. A matching pairs series. Remember that game, Matching Pairs, where you grew up?
Yeah.
So it's Black history related. We got trivia card series. We got a discussion, like a table topics discussion series. Yeah, so we've been busy in the flashcard lane, and also got a membership section of the business as well that we teach a Black History program complete with classes and worksheets and lesson plans and activities.
That's amazing. I actually, we are in Black History Month, but I was invited to speak to. So I have twin nephews. So my twin brother
Nice.
has twin nephews. I mean, he has twin sons, and they're
Awesome.
just in kindergarten. But
Beautiful.
a teacher at their school, Black teacher, one of the few, um, wanted to start Black History Month because in Canada, where I grew up, we did not have Black History Month. Like, I never heard of Black History Month until I came down to the States for school. So anyway, she's just now in 2021 introducing Black History Month to the school. But so she asked a few of us to present, and so I presented on the history of Black nurses in Canada because my mother,
Nice.
she's retired, but she's a nurse, and so my point to all this is to say that when she gave us a list of topics, I had not realized how much Black history there was just in Canada, and I still don't know all these years later because we never learned it. So it's so critical that like what you are creating. So I guess my question would be, are you going to do like country specific? So I know you just touched on like the Afro Caribbean, that kind of thing, but are you going to touch on country specific Black history content, or will you just kind of keep it as like the Black diaspora?
We're gonna stay on the Black, the African diaspora, but I do want to zero in and get more information about each country. So, like we have a large group of people in Canada that purchase. So I definitely want to get into that, and like our UK audience, I would love to get into Black history specific inside of the UK. My thing about it is like in a business perspective, I can't grow the catalog of flashcards too big. Right? Like, because who's going to buy all 50 decks, right? Like, maybe somebody will, but like, can we really mass market that? So that's why so far I stopped at 5 for the Black History flashcards, but then we created this online membership component that we call the Sankofa Club. So it's kind of expounding on the flashcards to the next level, but it's done in the digital space. So now I can really build out the content and the platform inside of there while taking advantage of some really exciting things by moving digital content, right?
I love it. I love it. So, do you mind sharing some of the numbers? Like, how many customers would you say you have? How many people have purchased the cards or are actively, with the Sankofa Club?
Yeah, we are. So I haven't done the numbers in the last couple of months for the total numbers, but we were over 300,000 decks of flashcards sold. Since 2017. And so, things are going pretty well internationally. Of course, I'm pushing for that 1 million mark, right, as fast as I can. But on a business perspective, like we just really getting our footing on inventory management, right? Because sometimes I'm out of stock. I didn't anticipate this boom that, this and that. So I feel like this is going to be the year that we actually stay in stock consistently.
Yeah.
So learning those sales cycles and stuff like that. And then inside the Sankofa Club, which is the interesting part of this is February the 7th, 2020, there were 115 people in the club. And so today we're a little bit over 2,200 members into the club. So we really doubled down and decided to focus on this segment of the business. And it's paying off, right? So we moved the decimal. I'm always talking about moving the decimal, right? We moved the decimal one more time and go to 22,000 people. I might be burning hundreds with my cigar.
Okay, so talk a little bit about some of the partnerships that you've had, or some of the brands that have partnered with you.
Yeah, well, we had a relationship with JetBlue, which was really great. Where they blew up our Black History flashcards. We created posters out of them, and then created a Black History display throughout JFK International Airport, and then their Newark, New Jersey office. We've done something similar like that with some schools and libraries all over the country. Wayne State University just put up their relationship, their poster for Black History Month. We have an affiliation right now with ABC News, where they're utilizing our Black History flashcards as the resource for their Black History facts that they're posting. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of exciting things going on.
Yeah. Just a couple. No.
Just a couple, right?
That's excellent. I love it, Freddie. I'm so proud of what you've built. I didn't even see. I feel like I didn't even do my proper research. I thought I knew everything, and obviously I didn't. I didn't realize how it had expanded digitally, but obviously I guess it would have to at this point because it's just what makes sense. The next.
Yeah, yeah, it does. But it creates a really, just to stick business a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It creates a really predictable revenue stream inside of the business that is a high margin yield, right? So we're just talking about online memberships, right? And whatever, once we pay for the content and get everything on the back end completed and done, that's done. And we're just running people through the program. And, so now the profit margin, it just stays nice and steady, and I can keep a predictable revenue stream in. So now I can really start to scale and build out the team like I envisioned, like because we're in need of more people in order to execute the full vision. So rather than having the up and down sales of the flashcards that might be here or there, this revenue engine inside of the business, it's one of the tipping points for me. I believe, right? Because I just think like that's what we need in order to really start scaling.
Yeah. Love it. All right. So what's next? What's the next step?
Yeah, well, first is to get to this, our goal for our annual run rate, right? So we got a goal of a $1 million annual run rate inside of the Sankofa Club. We are progressing well towards it, right? But we want to get there by the summer. So once we get there, then we'll really start to build out the team. But we have a woman starting Monday, that a new hire. So we're not waiting. It's not that we're cash poor or anything. It's just better for forecasting. But once we get solidified in that angle, then we're increasing the engagement inside of the club. I got a social network that's built out already. So we're pushing our members to use our own social platform. We are expanding the curriculum, and we're moving into schools. So we're looking to bring on a sales force specifically for that, and then really build out the Sankofa Club to add languages. I would love to get like dancing and cooking classes on the backside of this, because again, history and culture is not just about what happened in the past. It's really about embracing it and bringing it into your life. So basically, we're angling towards to create a school. And I got a reading curriculum that's African-centered that's coming. So those are some of the things that I haven't shared all of that with everybody.
Okay.
This
Well,
is
thank you
news
for the goods. Yeah. Well, however I can help, I don't know if we've discussed this or not, but I'm actually working on developing some, I guess like a course, just really to help. It's really focused on closing the Black wealth gap. So it's really trying to create content information so that people just understand where that gap came from and how we can actually go about trying to close that gap on a family basis. I mean, we can't control what the government's going to do, but we can control what we do within our families. And part of that is getting education and knowledge and practice smart, wealth building strategies. So anyway, maybe we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we let's talk, because we got a personal finance curriculum coming as well for our teams. Because again, we got the audience, with the people, so we're just trying to strap information on it that's going to benefit them. So I love that angle that you're pursuing, and let me know if I can do anything to be of any help with that as well.
I will, absolutely. So, okay, Freddie, where's the best place for people to find you? Where should they start?
Urbanintellectuals.com. So you start there. You can check out the store, see everything that we have to offer. It can link over to the Sankofa Club and check us out. And if you need to contact me or anyone, you should get the information there as well. Or it's just info@urbanintellectuals.com. If somebody's interested.
Okay, sounds good. Well, once COVID's over, I plan to get back up to Chicago in the summer, of course, when it's warm. But I get back up there. We'll definitely hang out. We'll chat in the meantime.
Yes, let's do it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you so much, Freddie, for joining me today. It was great discussion, great to catch up. Congratulations on all your success. I'll have all your, the link and contact information in the notes. But also, if you'd like to read more on Freddie's story, he was just recently featured in the Black Enterprise. I think it was the January 2021 issue. So he's just doing phenomenal things. really proud to call him alumni buddy. No.
Yes, yes, ma'am. It's good to see you again. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Freddie. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Okay. That was funny.